Thank you, Mr. Chair. Minister, thank you for taking the time again to join in the committee and to answer our questions. Bill C-3 is so important to strengthening Canada's safety net and ensuring that Canadians don't have to worry about staying home if they're sick or being unable to pay their bills. I also want to take this opportunity to quickly say thank you to the healthcare workers in my riding and across Canada who've been working day in and day out in an already overwhelming environment to keep us safe and to protect our health. But since 2019, the government has created greater access to paid sick leave for Canadians. So could you walk us through a brief timeline of the work that the government has done since then?
My thanks to the honourable member, and thank you for acknowledging the healthcare workers in his riding and healthcare. I would add, obviously, the healthcare workers right across the country. I'm just thinking of what one representative of workers, frontline workers, told me on my third day on the job. She said, "Stop calling us heroes. Start treating us like human beings." And that has certainly stayed with me, as I'm sure if you've heard a similar message, I'm sure it's stayed with all of you. We have to put the things in place, the tangible things in place to protect people. And that gets also obviously to the second part of this bill in dealing with the intimidation that many of our healthcare workers saw over the course of last summer, I think, to the utter disgust of millions and millions of Canadians. The clarification to law enforcement officers so that they know exactly what they need to do, that the penalties would be increased, and importantly, that healthcare workers in a very real way know that the people of this country have their backs, that we support them, that we will not tolerate that sort of behavior from people in our healthcare system that we are asking so much of, particularly during this pandemic. I may be betraying some of my own sympathies as the son of a nurse, proud son of a nurse, and that's how I was raised. But I think that anybody who has benefited from the care and pride and dignity of our healthcare workers understands they need that protection, and they should not be subject to that sort of abuse.
Thank you. I've had the opportunity to contact Arden Crystal, the president and the CEO of South Lake Regional Health Centre, in my riding and asked her for her thoughts on Bill C-3. Ms. Crystal is by and large supportive of the legislation, particularly the changes to the criminal code related to intimidation and impeding access to services. This commitment that we've made to Canadians, and I'm happy to see that we're collaborating on making it a reality. Is it possible that there may be some confusion as to what the bill targets? Could you tell this committee what it doesn't target?
I thank the honourable member for the question. Maybe I will ask my my deputy to give clarification.
I will turn to Laurie Wright, the Justice representative, to answer the portion.
Clear chain of command here.
Yeah.
I'm happy to take my spot in wherever that chain of command puts me. Thank you so much for the question. So I think what's very important to understand about the part of the bill that would create the new criminal offenses around intimidation of healthcare workers and those seeking health services, and also the obstruction of those who are trying to access healthcare facilities, is that the focus of these amendments is on threatening and intimidating behavior. So we know that the obstruction offense does not apply to persons who are merely at a place to communicate information. And so peaceful protest that is lawful and has only a minor impact on access is not going to be caught. And as I had been able to state in response to an earlier question, that means that also people are able to exercise their labor rights, including their right to picket, so long as they're doing so peacefully they're not going to be caught by the offenses. So just to sum up, the purpose is to try to capture threatening conduct where there is violence or threats of violence, and not at all to touch on people's peaceful assembly and freedom of expression rights.